Hi, guys. Welcome back. We're going to get 10 tips on staying positive because let's be honest, it's really easy to want to potentially quit a diet or exercise plan, right? And we're more than halfway through our 90-day challenge. So the last thing we want to do is think about quitting. So we're going to listen to 5 tips from Breezy from Mental Health and Wellness. That's her YouTube channel. And then we're going to listen to 5 tips from Courtney Hollingsworth and her YouTube channel. And what's interesting is whenever somebody gives their top 5 tips, you never realize how drastically different it could be from somebody else's. So we're going to see what we think of both girls' top 5 tips. And altogether, it'll be 10 solid tips for us to take moving forward.
I'm doing this video before I go to work. I work hard for you guys. So I had a couple questions for this Truth Day Tuesday. Kind of big questions and important ones, like, hey, what's going on with this Caitlyn Jenner thing? Or, how come you don't shave your armpits? Or your legs? Ew. And, do you have any tips on how to stay positive? So I'm still gonna make videos about that. For today, I'm just gonna start with something easy. What tips can I recommend to stay positive? And I'll just keep it to 5. My number 1 tip to staying positive is to meditate or take a deep breath. Whenever anything happens to me, I am always offering it up, taking in a deep breath and exhaling and allowing my brain to have the time to stop, think, and process what's happening and how I can make the situation better. So meditation or breathing or some sort of mindfulness activity that you can use right away is a good thing to pick up and practice.
So right off the bat, the one thing that I notice is she seems really down to earth, and that actually sounds like a really great first tip for staying positive, right? Sometimes it's good to take a good inhale, a good relaxing breath, and kind of bring yourself down to earth a little bit, right? And then, if you can full-blown meditate, wonderful. But even if you can't, just take a nice breath, think about things, try to stay calm, right? Very good advice for tip number 1.
Which leads me to number 2. When you do the stop and think method, try and look at your thoughts and see, are they more negative or positive? Are they destructive towards yourself or others? Or are they constructive? Are they solution focused? Are they life focused? Or are they kind of trying to take over your mind and rip it from the inside out? So watch your thoughts. Watch your thoughts. After you do your deep breath and you pay attention to your thoughts, make sure that you're in a safe space and that the people you surround yourself with are positive, supporting. I'm not saying sympathetic and don't worry, it'll get better, and that they won't focus on the problem at all. But again, staying solution focused when negative events happen in your life can help you stay more positive because you can fix it, you can change it, you can alter how you respond to it. And that's key when you have other people around you supporting that behavior, modeling that behavior, not allowing you to get too hard on yourself. It's okay to admit when you're wrong, when you've said something wrong, when you've done something wrong, taking responsibility for things that happen to you, which includes changing your thought process about it. And when you have someone there, it makes it a lot easier. If you don't have anyone there, or you don't want to let anyone in, and you just personally want to stay positive, I laugh. When something happens to me, sometimes I laugh it off. Like, who would have thought that happened? Laugh it off, human yourself. You're your own worst critic, so you can also be your own class clown. Sing. If you don't like laughter therapy, which is kind of where you start to force yourself to laugh, like, ha, 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 ha. It kind of helps. It makes your face form into the shape of smiling. You can also sing. Singing is great. It's a great way to de-stress. Sometimes I just sing random song lyrics. Those of you that know me know I just break out into song randomly. That's 4, right?
So it's interesting because These two girls are probably going to be closer to our children's age, right, than ours. But sometimes you need to hear the perspective of a young person that hasn't been tainted by life, right? In many cases, the reason that we're walking, the reason that we gained weight is because life had a way of kind of getting to us. These two girls, you're going to see quickly, have an energy about them, have a youthfulness about them. One of the things that I wanted us to copy in this routine is walking every day, which is a lot like kids that used to walk every day to school. She strikes me as the kid that walked every day to school. She has a natural energy about her, right? And her advice is actually pretty darn good. What's wrong with singing a song? That makes people feel better. I always tell people, hey, if you're really down and out, throw on some Dave Chappelle comedy, right? Throw on a comedian on the TV. It's their job to get us to laugh. And when you start laughing, you start feeling better. In her case, if you turn on the radio and start singing with your favorite song, that is a great way to get in a better state of mind. So I really like the young approach to how you need to stay positive.
Right? Breathing, thought, people, laughter, and singing. And last but not least, number 5 on my list is an attitude of gratitude. See, if you go around not being very thankful of the little things in your life, all of the negativity is going to pile up. So I recently saw Tomorrowland, and a good way to help you guys understand this attitude of gratitude and feeding the negative thoughts or feeding positive thoughts. There's a Native American saying about two wolves, they're always fighting. Which one wins? The one that you feed. So if you want to become more positive in your life, an attitude of gratitude will feed the right wolf. An attitude of gratitude, a pulse of positivity, and really get down to your own personal thoughts. And breathing can help you get there. Having a support network can help you get there. You know, trying to really put yourself in more positive mindset through laughter or singing can help you get there. Stay healthy, stay light, and don't give up the fight. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and also stay positive. Believe me, I believe in the good things coming. I believe that we can change the world. And honest to goodness, I believe that we have what it takes to make a difference in this world as long as we do our self-work. We work on ourselves so that we can better serve our community, so that we can go back out into the world to better serve our community. One of my other mottos, attitude of gratitude, right on top of that, is fill your cup until it overflows.
That is awesome. Listen, this was from 4 years ago, so I'm sure she's outgrown that. Okay, so this next person we're going to watch, her name is Courtney Hollingsworth, and that's the name of her YouTube channel as well. She's got 5 tips that I think are positive as well. So again, this is combined 10 tips. Let's see what Courtney has to say.
I haven't came on here just to talk to you guys and express to you guys how I feel and also my opinion. My opinion is just my opinion. I'm just telling you guys what has worked for me. And maybe you guys can incorporate this in your everyday life as well. So yes, let's hop right into this video. So guys, I'm just going to give you 5 tips on how to just love yourself and just be happy. And I do have some notes here. I wrote them down last night because, like I said, this is a topic that I really wanted to come on here and talk to you guys about. So number 1, I said, remove anything and anyone in your life who is not uplifting you or motivating you. You have to love yourself enough to let those type of people go, knowing that you actually deserve better in life. Guys, when you remove toxic people out of your life, you just begin to feel so much better. It's like a heavy weight that has been lifted off of your shoulders. Your aura becomes brighter and your entire energy just shifts.
So the first girl didn't bring this up at all, but the second girl, who I look at as, once again, our daughter, but maybe 5 to 10 years older, she strikes me as a little bit older than the first girl that we got the tips from, right? Her first thought is addition through subtraction. And I think this is something that we should all contemplate. Are there people in our lives that are maybe bringing us down, that are continuously poisonous, right? And do we want to potentially move forward without those type of people? But remember, never misunderstand a simple argument for something long term. Just because you and your best friend Linda haven't gotten along the last 3 or 4 weeks doesn't mean that it's time to cut her out your life forever, okay? So make sure you sleep on these things before just snapping to a rush judgment.
For the better, because you don't have all these negative people around you. Like I said, if you have friends, including family, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever it is, it can be the people that has been closest to you for the longest, and you just don't want to let them go because you're so used to hanging around these people for so long. I would say that you got too comfortable around these people that it feels weird just to let them go. I seen this quote the other day and I feel like I need to read to you guys. It says, if your absence bring me peace, I didn't lose you. So guys, once you let go of these people and you feel such a huge burden lifted off of your shoulders, you didn't lose these people. Those people left you. So number one is just remove anything and anyone, okay? Anything and anyone out of your life that you feel that's not motivating you and uplifting you and also supporting you.
Now, that might be perfect for somebody in their 20s, right? But when you're in your 40s, your 50s, and 60s, your kids might act like jerks, your family members might act like jerks, but this is the point where sometimes you got to turn the other cheek and always at least keep your door open. Eh? Tell me if you agree or disagree.
My tip number 2 for you guys would be know who you are as a woman and as a man. And what I mean by this, let me get really specific in this topic. For example, it's like I personally already feel like I know who I am. It's like I know who I am supposed to be. It's like when I was a little girl, I always envisioned myself being at a higher level. Like I've had a dream of doing certain things that I'm doing now. And it's like, as a little girl, I always knew that I was going to become that woman. And now that I am that woman, I'm looking at myself as a higher level, higher than what I am today. So like when I meet people, and this is just me, it's like I know who I am and I know who I'm supposed to be, that I don't let anybody come into my life if they don't match up to that level. Even though I'm not there yet, and I'm not talking about money-wise or anything like that. I'm talking about like my spirit.
So I had a message that I put up on the screen that said, Venters, do you agree with this? Because I agree with her on one part. If there's toxic people, maybe you never let them come into your life, right? And if they're already in your life, maybe you have them exit your life, right? But at the same time, if you shut the door and you only let people that are at your level, you might be shutting the door on somebody that's very, very special out there. And some of us have friends that might have come from the wrong side of the tracks, that from outward appearances, maybe you don't let certain people into your life based on her thoughts here, right? But a lot of times you find out that you meet beautiful people as long as you're willing to give them a chance. If they destroy that chance, that's another thing though. So, you have to be smart about it, but definitely let me know what your comments are on that, because that's an interesting thought. She wants to kind of keep her guard up and not necessarily let every Tom, Dick, or Harry into her life. So you got to respect that.
If your energy does not match my energy, if not higher, then I do not allow you to come into my space. I don't allow anyone that has a lower vibration to enter my life. So guys, you have to know who you are. You have to know what you are willing to tolerate and what you are not willing to tolerate. And if that person doesn't respect it, then deuces. And that's why I said you have to love yourself so much that you're so cautious of who you let into your life. Once you let those people go, with tip number 1, tip number 2, you have to be cautious of who you let into your life, because your circle literally defines you and it determines everything. And it basically speaks a lot about you. Your top 5 circle. Who do you have in your top 5? Even if me personally, I don't even have top 5 because I don't allow that many people in my circle. But obviously we have associates and things of that nature, but just be cautious of who you really let close to you. Okay, tip number 3, guys. In order to be happy, this is something that I have really realized, and it actually works because a few months ago, I remember I posted a video and I was like super down, and it was just so much going on in my life. Obviously everybody's going to have ups and downs, but I don't allow myself to be sad for a long period of time. I give myself 24 hours to be in bed and mope and cry, and then after that 24 hours is up, I'm like, okay, all right, Court. Do you know who you are? Yes, I know who I am. Then get your butt up and let's start the day and just be happy. So tip number 3 is spend time in nature. Guys, oh my goodness. Even if you are not a nature person.
So if I wasn't a walker, I would probably say that that's okay advice, but not great advice. But because I am a walker and I know how good it feels to get outside and feel the sun and smell fresh air and see your neighbors' homes and stuff as you walk through the neighborhood, I totally agree with her. I think if you never go outside, take the rest of her advice. She's basically going to say, open up the windows, open up the door, step out onto the front porch and take a good breath of Mother Nature, right? And there is something truly magical about doing just that. So I agree with her. Very great tip.
And just get out the house. Get some vitamin D on your skin. Let the sun hit your skin. I'm telling you, you'll feel so much better. Start to open up some windows and start to spring clean, summer clean, winter clean, fall clean, whatever it is, whatever season it is. Start to just clean your house. Guys, when your house is clean, it's something about a clean house that you walk into that smells good. It's just going to make you feel good. Just don't be in bed all day. Be productive. Even if that's just you going to the grocery store, guys, just be productive. Get out the house, go for a little hike. If you have a puppy, go for a hike with your puppy. I'm telling you guys, that will make you feel good. Even if you're going through a breakup or whatever it is that you may be struggling with in your life. A lot of times people, they struggle with a few things of being unhappy. It's rather family issues, their career-wise, they start to overthink, relationships. There's so many different topics on why people are unhappy, or maybe they grew up not loving themselves. But I'm telling you, when you just start to get into the habit of waking up every single morning and opening your blinds and allowing sun to come into your house or allowing sun to come into your apartment, and just, guys, it can even be as simple as going to the grocery store, putting on makeup, and just to go to the grocery store and just look cute, okay? It'll make you feel so much better. And what guys, I don't know what guys do, but even what guys, get up and just go to the grocery store, look cute.
We look into the camera and we flex our muscles and we just, I agree with her totally. Put on your new shoes, put on your outfit, do your hair up, right? Make yourself feel good. Sometimes you got to fake it till you make it, right? But the main thing is, I think all of these tips that we've heard are great, and I think she still has one last one.
Okay, just look good when you go out. You'll start to feel way much better about yourself. That's the energy that we want to put into the universe. We want to put out good vibrations and not bad vibrations. Guys, when your body is just moving around, you'll start to, feel good. You'll just start to feel really good about yourself. Tip number 4, which is my favorite tip. This actually should have been tip number 1. I'm telling you. Spend time alone. Be happy alone. Spend time with yourself. We should have the best relationship with ourselves, not our boyfriends, not our husbands, not our family. It all starts with us. We need to have this relationship with ourselves first before we can be happy.
So here's a great question for you guys to answer in the comments. Basically, every day that you've been joining me and taking walks, or even if you don't join me and take walks, basically every day that you do that, you are spending time by yourself. If you enjoy it, let us know in the comments.
Be happy with who you are, where you are, and everything else will fall into place, because if you're seeking happiness through other people, you're just never going to be happy. You have to be happy with who you are. A lot of times people feel like, oh, if I'm around this person, it's going to make me happy. But it's like, you don't even like spending time alone. So what makes you think that other people is going to want to spend more time with you? Like, you don't even like to spend time alone in your own presence. And back to the beginning of the video when I said I think I'll overly love myself, I think No, I'm not going to say I think, because I know. I know I love myself too much, because I am so like strict with who I let into my life, guys. I'm telling you, like, it can be certain, I just don't play that. Like, I don't have time for people coming in my life messing my energy up. I just don't have time for that. I'm so happy with who I am, and I'm so happy with where I am, and I'm so happy with my journey that I'm just very picky with who I let into my life. And I love spending time alone. I love getting to know who I am. There's so much that I learn about myself every single day.
So real quick, let's talk about the difference between the first person and this second person. The first person, Breezy, strikes me as a friend to many, right? The second person, Courtney here, strikes me as somebody that to get in her inner circle of friendships, you got to kind of show that you're a certain person. And that's not necessarily good or necessarily bad. It's just based on her experience, that's what she feels most comfy with. I think we can agree that both girls seem extremely happy. They both strike me as the type that would be very cordial if you ever had a chance to meet them in person. But we know that Breezy would probably be a little bit more outgoing right off the bat, whereas I'm sure Courtney here would kind of have her guard up a little bit. However, your thoughts are, I would love to hear about them. So again, put them in the comments section. And let's finish out this little bit of what she has to say.
Every single day, even if I was into a relationship, it's like I still love myself so much to where it's like I'm able to reciprocate that love to my significant other, if that makes sense. You want to be able to spend time with yourself. And if you're in a relationship, or even if you're wanting to be in a relationship, guys, and you have not spent time alone, this is the best time, especially with us going through this pandemic. This is the best time to really like get to know ourselves and get to come one with ourselves, instead of rushing to spend time with others without spending time with ourselves. And my last tip for you guys, oh, this is so important too. I feel like all these tips are really important. They have like really helped me out in order to be happy, and also just love yourself. I've had this journal, guys, and it says, "With God, all things are possible." When I moved to LA, I've had this journal since 2013, right? And I've been on and off with writing in the journal. This is so full, guys, full of everything that I've gone through since I've been out here. And there's been times where I haven't written in my journal. Before I took the initiative to write back in my journal, the last time I wrote in my journal was October 8, 2017. That was 3 years ago, right? Almost 3 years ago. So I wrote in my journal for the first time again, April 13, 2020. And it makes me feel so good, guys, because I like looking back at where I came from, like all my struggles, the tears that I've shed, and to look at where I am now, it just reminds me like, Court, things are going to get better. Courtney, things are going to get better. And I need you guys to try to write in a journal, and maybe it's like your everyday prayers, or whoever you believe in, God, the universe, Allah, whoever you believe in, write in your prayer journal, guys, and just speak about how you feel. Get it off your chest, because a lot of times some people may not be able to actually sit there and pray in their head, right? Or some people may not just be able to just sit and just like pray out loud. The easiest way for me to pray is also praying out loud, but the easiest way for me that I love is to write everything down, because I feel like when I write all of my prayers down and all my issues or concerns, and I just give it all over to God, or anything that I'm going through, or even if I'm happy and I'm just super, super thankful and I'm expressing a lot of gratitude, I write it all in my journal, because like I said, it makes me feel great, and it makes me feel so appreciative of everything that's going on in my life. And I feel like once you write things down, things are more likely to manifest. Like I said, as I look back in the things that I used to write in 2013 to where I am now, I've manifested a lot of things. So with that being said, tip number 5 is to always show gratitude. Wake up and show gratitude. Be thankful for everything. Be thankful. Even if you don't know what to be thankful for, be thankful that you're still alive. Be thankful that you still have legs, arms, sight, you have vision, you have, like, you can hear, you can talk. Like, that's the starting point.
I say bravo for both girls. So what's interesting is the first girl seemed really extroverted, right? Like she's your best friend or your daughter. giving you advice to cheer you up, right? And stay positive. The second one, this one, Courtney here, she's a little bit more introverted, right? And she's talking about things like having a gratitude journal. Keep track of 3 or 4 good things that happen on the daily to you. And then at the end of the month, you've got hundreds of things to be happy and grateful for. Both bits of advice from both points of view are perfect. And when you use them all together, it includes everybody because some of us really are outgoing, some of us are really kind of inward, right? So I wanted you guys to enjoy that. So with that being said, the best way to really pep yourself up is to grab your shoes. Let's go for a walk. Well, good morning. Happy weekend. It's probably Sunday for you. I've been racking up so many extra videos the last couple days because I've been taking the camera with me for extra credit. So that's good that I've racked up some extra videos. As we get closer to the summer, it might not be a bad idea for me to get a couple of days ahead on the videos, just so we have a ton of footage, just in case the monsoons hit. Arizona is one of those states where even though the summers are dry as heck, we have the monsoon. So we actually get more rain during the summer than the rest of the year, believe it or not. And it's not always that way. Sometimes the monsoon comes, but there's not really a drop of rain that we get. But other times we get quite a bit of rain during the summer. It really just depends. But isn't that kind of interesting? You figure during the summer it would be drier than ever, and it is. But occasionally we do get the monsoon storms, so it's kind of counterintuitive. You think a desert in the top part of the summer would be really hot and dry, and it is. But like I said, occasionally that's when we get rain. So go figure. Either way, whenever it rains in Arizona, whether it's hot outside or cold, it's usually welcomed with open arms. We love when it rains out here. Now, in certain states like Oregon and Louisiana and Florida, where it rains every single day, you know, I know sometimes it can be a little annoying with how much it's raining. But in Arizona, we look forward to it because of the fact that it never does. And that's just like our diet plan. We can eat sugar because we never eat sugar. We can avoid a day of drinking water because what are we always drinking? Water. And you can actually take a day off of walking every now and then because we walk every day. And if you're keeping track, you know as well as I do, we've been walking for about 50 days in a row. Yeah! All right, that was a little much. So today, I thought we would check out the other park. What do you mean the other park, Jesse? Oh, don't you worry, Bob. You'll see here in a minute. Instead of going the usual way to the usual parks, we're gonna cross the street and we're gonna check out some other areas. That's what's kind of cool about walking for me. There's always potentially a new street that you haven't really walked down before. And whenever you're walking, there's always a chance you're gonna look at some new people that are walking that you haven't noticed before. So always very cool. If you've been taking different routes in your neighborhood, maybe let us know in the comments section. It's always kind of cool whenever people check out new areas. Good morning. There's a gal walking with her 2 dogs. I'm convinced I'm convinced that the way to break into a walking routine, go buy yourself a Fido, right? A Fido, a Rufus, a Buddy. Go buy yourself a Hershey, whatever you want to name your dog. Penelope, Dracula, whatever you want to name the dog. Go buy a dog. Take that dog out for walks every day and love that dog, because that dog and their love towards you could just extend your life. So I would have to say that over the past week or two, I've definitely increased my walking. I've even gone out for a walk last night when it was actually dark outside. And it was pleasant. Oh my goodness, I want to take my camera out at night, but when I did practice taking it out the one time, it looks like it can pick me up because I have a light that I attach to the camera, but it looks like behind me and stuff, it looks like I'm in pitch black darkness. So it might be a fun one for me to do something scary, like a scary night walker situation. That would be cool. So yeah, I don't know if you guys follow the neighborhood that I'm walking in as I'm walking. Some of you might get used to knowing the routes just based on watching me walk. But if that's the case, you probably aren't used to me going this particular way. So with this particular way, we're heading down towards a park that we visit probably, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 times a year. On my walks, I drive by this park, more than that when I go to the mall and stuff. I'm one of these guys that a lot of times, to beat traffic, I'll take the little neighborhood streets. I used to have a 1-hour drive to work every day when I worked at a place called Voice America. Your boy was a executive producer of talk shows on the radio. Can you believe it? So in case you think, I like Jesse's voice, just know some people on the professional level like my voice too. Not, it's not a world-class voice by any means, but I have had a little talk radio show on Voice America before. And as an executive producer, my job was to find other shows. So I was constantly trying to reach out to people to see if they wanted their voice to be heard. And VoiceAmerica.com is kind of like a radio version or a radio talk show version of YouTube. So, pretty cool. Pretty cool. It actually wasn't the coolest. It was one of those things where people would spend quite a bit of money to do a talk show with us because they wanted a talk show with a time slot, the whole 9 yards. But the reality is they could have done their show on YouTube for free, and I always felt bad about that. But I was one of these guys that I always told people the truth. I said, hey, you can do your own show on YouTube. The problem with YouTube is sometimes it's darn near impossible to gain traction. If you do a talk show with us, you'll at least have access to the fans that are already watching shows on our network. And I think we had a couple 100,000 fans that would watch shows on the network over the course of a month. So a lot of times people did get fan interaction, and we would give them a toll-free phone number that was connected to their show. And Voice America is still up and running, so they still have that option available. But, I'm just not a huge fan of paying $5,000 to $6,000 a quarter, to be able to do your own show. So it was one of those things where after a while I parted company with Voice America. And went on to greener and better pastures. So here we go, crossing the big boy road, going into a neighborhood where we might see one or two different walkers than we normally see. That's the interesting thing about walkers. Even when I go let's say 3 or 4 weeks without coming over to this side of the street, I'll still see people that kind of look familiar, because I've been walking these streets forever. Streetwalker. How much do you cost, sir? Oh, I'm too expensive for you. Too expensive for you, big boy. So today it's supposed to be up to 90. Almost fell there. It's been up there in the 90s basically the last week and a half, and it's not too bad, believe it or not, because again, one of the things that Arizonans tell themselves is, well, at least it's not 115, which it's not 115, thank goodness. Oh my God. I still don't have any idea what the heck I'm gonna do when that happens. I think when that happens, we're gonna have to go to a nighttime show. Arizona is one of those places that can be 100 degrees at night. Hey, good morning. Good morning. Pretty doggies. Got the Lady and the Tramp dogs. Those are really pretty dogs. I think if I got a dog in the future, I think I might go for one of those type of dogs. The Lady and the Tramp with the long ears. But I hear those dogs with the long ears, they can have ear issues and get ear mites and stuff. So there's drawbacks to having those long, pretty ears. Sometimes your dog can have issues with them. You got to stay on top of it. Oh my God, guys, this shade feels wonderful. Oh my goodness. Oh my. If only everybody would put some giant shade trees up in their yard, we could have endless areas where we could walk under the shade. For whatever reason, when people put up trees, sometimes they choose these little dopey trees that are kind of not necessarily the prettiest of trees. I think a lot of people love having the palm trees, but God, palm trees give little to no shade whatsoever. Well, yeah, let's be honest, guys, palm trees give zero shade. So although they might look kind of, I don't know, Gilligan's Island and California cool, they don't really cool down anything. It always amazes me, every once in a while we'll have a real windy storm out here, and the palm trees are famous for being able to survive, hurricanes and typhoons, and but they look still like they're gonna fall down during a winter storm or during a windy storm, but they never do. They never do. And that might describe somebody like me or somebody like you. We might look like we're not packing a punch, right? But the reality is we are walking machines. You've been walking for going on 2 months now. How does it feel? I see you guys every day. Jesse, I'm gonna put on my shoes. Mala, put on them shoes. Let's go, let's do this. It's awesome. Tanisha, you've been talking lately, and I know that you're into your 2nd month now. Keep going, Tanisha. Welcome to the team. That is awesome. I guess it's not much of a welcome because you've already been with us for a month in silence, but you've decided over the last couple days to talk about it. Tanisha, that's a great way to tell people that you've embarked on a walking routine, is not to do it your first couple of days. Because what if you would have quit? You waited till you made it one whole day. You're like, hey, on April 1st, which I whenever I hear April 1st, I'm always thinking people are going to say, just kidding, April Fools. But on April 1st, apparently, you started your walking routine. But instead of bragging about it or talking about it, you waited till basically this first part of May to let me know, hey, I've been doing this for a whole month. Tanisha, that's the way I would recommend people tell people when they embark on a new diet or exercise journey. Because what if you would have told us on April 1st, and then what if you would have quit on April 2nd or April 3rd? All of a sudden it's like, hey, what happened to Tanisha? Oh, she came and went like that. In your case, You waited till you had a whole month under your belt. And that's how I would recommend telling family members about your diet and exercise routine. Let them know, hey, I'm gonna walk every day. Yeah, Ma, I'd like to see that. Ooh, I bet you will. Because they don't think you're gonna make it. Well, imagine if you said I'm gonna walk every day and oh, by the way, I started this a month ago, so keep being smart, Jack. Keep being smart, Billy. Your mama's a walker. And then when they go out the door, lock the door. They'll be like, Mom, let me in. It's hot out here. I'll let you in, Jack, after you walk around the block. Get going. Mom! Mom! Could you imagine? By the way, that's what parents used to do to us when we were annoying. They would say, go outside and play. And then right when you went outside, they'd lock the door and stay out. And that's that beautiful, tough love we grew up with. God, that was the best though. Mommy, can I come in and hang with you? Heck no, go outside. Go visit your friends. Go take a long walk off a short pier. You remember the long walk off a short pier talk that they gave us? Oh yeah. Betty, yes, Daddy? Go play in traffic, get lost. Okay, Dad. And that was, see, back then the kids were smart enough to know that, oh, that's Bugs Bunny humor. Dad doesn't actually mean go play in traffic. It's an expression, it's a saying. Now you have to stop the kids. They'll literally go play in traffic. It's like, come on, use your brain, kids. You know, the kids, the only thing they use their brain for nowadays is to complain about us. They call us boomers. Don't they know that's our parents, right? We're Gen Xers. Well, some of you might be boomers. If you are a boomer, welcome to the show. I'm glad you're walking with us. Nothing wrong with staying young as long as you can. You know, that's the crazy thing. If somebody passes away and they're in their 60s, I still look at them and say, that's a shame. That's excessively young, right? And I think you would agree because, you know, we want people to survive well into their 80s and 90s if possible. And we know that it very much is possible, you know? I like to poke fun at the vegans and vegetarians because I think their diets are very antisocial. But man, there's a channel called Plant Chompers. And they do this video where they basically take all of the exercise and diet gurus, you know, like Dr. Atkins and, you know, the various authors of the various diets. And they line them up on a grid of, you know, these people died in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and these people made it to age 100. And the 80, 90, and 100-year-old gurus and actors and stuff, it's just basically famous people and gurus that are vegetarian or meat eaters or do various diets. Guys, the people that live to be 90 and 100, there's a ton of vegetarians. So yes, if you're a vegetarian and you hear me poking fun at you, just know there's a little jealousy there. I know you guys are gonna live a long time. I don't care what the meat people tell you. A lot of the meat gurus die early. So you might think you look good, just like Bob Harper, right, from Biggest Loser. You look at that guy's body, he's got a six-pack, he's got muscles, things are going for him, right? But he had a heart attack in his 50s and almost died. And as a matter of fact, according to him, he did die. And now he's eating good carbs, so he's got a lot more plants going into his system. So, you know, just know that even people that look super duper healthy, including myself, we could be wrecked on the inside, you know? But here's the thing, just because you could drop dead like that, right? It doesn't mean that you just give yourself permission to give up and, oh, I'm not gonna walk, and oh, why bother with it? I'm a ticking time bomb. No, we're all ticking time bombs. Anything could take any one of us out. And not all vegans live to be 100. Sometimes they still die young. Sometimes vegans don't necessarily have the best of diets. There is a junk food version of the vegan diet. You know, you can still have vegan foods that get you in trouble. At least that's what Plant Chompers made it sound like. So, and he's a vegan. So that's the thing. There's pros and cons to everything. The pro to being a vegan or vegetarian, you might very well live into your 80s, 90s, and 100s. The negative about that is your friends and family that aren't vegan might not, you know? So that's something you have to think about. Do you want to outlive your kids? Some of us would say, I want to live to be 100, but if you live to be 80 or 90, and all of a sudden your kids start passing on and you outlive your kids, I don't know if that would be a blessing. I think that would be a little depressing, actually, you know? Because at this point in my life, all my family that's above me have passed on, pretty much. And so all I have is my family that's below me. And if I start outliving them, I don't know if that's a pro or a con. I think I would probably have to put that in the con category, because isn't it our dream, our hope, and our goal that our children outlive us, you know? However financially successful you are, isn't it your hope and goal that, you know, your kids would be more successful than you? I've tried passing down walking to both my son and daughter, and they're not really interested. Now, my daughter used to teach dance, and my son-in-law does teach dance, so they're constantly active. But my son, oh my God, I don't think my son exercises at all. He's one of these characters that his body weight goes up and down quite a bit. He looks like he could easily get up to 230 or 40 pounds. Or sometimes if you catch him at the right time of year, you know, he might be slightly under 200 pounds. But either way, he has the ability to really put on the pounds. So son, if you're sneaking a peek at your dad's YouTube channel, start walking with us. Definitely start walking with us. And I've told him that too. I said, hey, you know, your body has a secret weapon. What's that, old man? If you walk for just 20, 30 minutes a day, after a couple of months, you'll start losing weight like crazy. We'll see. I'll keep that in mind. And that's all you can do, right? Just hope that they keep things like that in mind. I don't know if you've noticed this park that's right here. I've been walking around it here for the last minute or two. Very beautiful park. I think when I was younger, we had soccer practices here sometimes. I never realized that growing up, when you're in close proximity to these really nice parks, I just never realized what a wonderful thing it is, you know? I think when you go into the more poorer parts of town and they have a park and you see kids actually using the park to play basketball, to play on the jungle gym and stuff. And then you go to a park that's in a good neighborhood and it's empty, and it's just kind of a shame. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not empty all the time. Sometimes it's very much happening. You know, if you want to have a nice birthday party that doesn't cost anything, you get your supplies, you come up to the local park where it's free. You know, there are ways that we can save money and do the fun things that we like, and we could take advantage of things that are free. Imagine if you took the kids up or the grandkids up and they had a party at the park while they're playing on the playground and having a good time, and I'm sure there's other adults kind of keeping an eye on them. You and your friends could technically walk around the park, you know? You could take the chubbier of the kids that's maybe off to the side and not playing, and you could say, hey, Dorothy, why don't you take a walk with me? Can I, Grandma? Please? I want to walk. Instead of playing, Dorothy? Yeah, playing's boring. I want to walk. And then on the walk, Dorothy will be like, hey, Grandma, when we get home, why don't you and I have a big bowl of ice cream? And you can be like, no, Dorothy, no. But Grandma, no, Dorothy. Poor Dorothy. Poor Dorothy. All right, we're ditching the park here, taking another little road. I always think it's neat how there's little nooks and crannies in various neighborhoods, you know. One time I owned a home in this area called Marshall Ranch, real gorgeous homes. I had like a 3,500 square foot giant home, 2 stories, right? And we lived at the end of a cul-de-sac, which is just ideal. You know, if you have kids, you want to live in a cul-de-sac. It's like the safest little nook in a neighborhood, right? Because sometimes people drive by and they're going 40 miles per hour down the little, you know, neighborhood road where you're supposed to be driving 25. When you drive 25, it gives you the ability to stop in case a child or a dog or a cat runs in front of you. You can stop. When you're going 40, now you have to time your stop. You have to make sure that you can stop within 1 or 2 seconds so you don't hit somebody. And that's why I don't understand why people take that chance, you know? Every day in this country, people perish because they're in a rush to get through the red light, because they don't want to stop at the stop sign, because they want to back out in a haste instead of checking and looking who's behind them. They want to look at the little mirror as they change lanes instead of looking over their shoulder. There's so many little irritating habits that people do that are just asking for trouble, you know? And if you've ever turned and changed lanes by using your little mirror, you know that the problem with that is you could have somebody in your blind spot right next to you and you can't see them, which is really weird. Someone could be right next to you in a vehicle and you won't see them, you know? And every year we have a handful of motorcyclists that get killed by cars that are not paying attention. And half of it's the motorcyclist's fault. You know, you're zipping through traffic, you're going fast, you're changing lanes in 1/10 of a second. Meanwhile, grandma's just trying to change lanes, you know, and she ends up hitting you. And guess what? When a car hits a motorcycle, it usually doesn't end well for the motorcycle, you know? Hi, how are you? They see me with a camera and they're like, oh my God, that guy's famous. That's Famous Jay. Yes, Famous Jay, walking each and every day. Walk, talk, vent. I have a friend named Tom Cridland, and he has his own YouTube channel where he interviews legit stars. He has on, God, if you look up Tom Cridland's channel, he interviews people like, well, if Michael Jackson were still alive, he probably would have interviewed him too, but he's interviewed Elton John, Billy Joel, Peter Cetera. I mean, just huge, huge names in the entertainment and music industry. He's had them on his YouTube channel. And he was actually my guest on my talk show when I was on Voice America. And he's got the voice of an angel. I honestly think his talent level is right up there with the best entertainers of all time. But I'm sure he would disagree because he's down to earth and mellow. But the reality is he is a world-class talent. I would love for him to make a Walk, Talk, Vent little introduction song. But I haven't asked him yet. He's great though. Check out Tom Cridland, C-R-I-D-L-A-N-D. He's got this song called Off the Rails. Oh my God, cute little song. He's actually got a ton of songs. He recently got married. I think it's really neat when people get married. Really shows a commitment. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of people that get married that shouldn't. I think we can all agree there, right? Many of us are divorced and thought, man, I shouldn't have gotten married, but, you know, better to have loved and lost than never to have loved. I think that's the saying, right? Rather than never loved again. I forget the saying now, but you guys know what I mean. The world's changing, though. There's a lot of people that want to go through their whole life without ever getting married. There's a lot of people that want to go through their whole life without ever having children. And that sounds like a smart plan, right? In your 30s and maybe even your 40s. But eventually you'll hit your 50s, 60s, and 70s, and you'll realize all your friends have families and you don't have any family members, and that can be kind of depressing and stuff. So when you're in your 20s and stuff, you might not think you want to have kids or family, but don't close the door on it completely. If the situation arises, you meet somebody special, you want to expand your family tree, just don't close your mind or your heart off to it, because you never know if you're going to meet that special person. And I have a granddaughter that is 2.5. She'll be 3 in December. And I'm just really glad. I'm really glad that I'm a grandpa. I wake up in the morning, and a lot of times I wake up naturally at 6:30ish. But ever since I started doing video editing at night, sometimes like today, I woke up at 8 and I was out the door by 8:15. And, so I've got that film on my teeth. But again, the film is a lot less than if I were, eating a lot of junk foods and stuff. I'm really impressed with how easily I was able to quit sugar. Guys, your boy has been sugar-free now for a couple weeks. What happens when you quit the sugar, Jesse? Well, it's my firm belief that when you're eating sugar, if you were to eat a candy bar and go right out on a walk, that candy bar would be dispersed through the calories in the candy bar would be dispersed through that walk. So in other words, you eat a Snickers, you walk for half an hour, it kind of balances out, right? You just used that energy. But here's the thing, when you eat a Snickers and you don't take a walk, it gets stored in the form of fat. And when you quit eating sugar and you're out walking, you're no longer using your candy bar that you just ate, because you're no longer eating the candy bar. So what happens is your body's able to use that fat. And I think that's what the people on the keto diet are constantly talking about, that you get to use your ketones break down, right? And I never really looked at it like that, because I don't look at it as ooh, I'm using my stinky, smelly ketones, I just look at it as what happens is pretty soon your fat just starts to burn off your body. Got a wild walk, talk, vent fan there. And when you're not eating sugar, pretty soon you'll notice that your fat starts to disappear. Where I notice it first are kind of in my chest and in my arms, right? And if you look at your profile in the mirror, you might notice that you're not quite as round or not quite as wide as you were. Now, if you stare every single day, or if you jump on a scale every single day, that could lead to disappointment. Because if you look at something and you analyze something every day, it's almost like it doesn't change. But if you give it time, and you look at it as time passes by, it's just like when a grandparent looks at their grandchildren every year. You might not have saw your grandkids for a year, but in that year's time, they might have sprouted up an extra 5 or 6 inches in height. They might have gained an extra 5 or 10 pounds, because they're no longer a second grader. Maybe they're now a third grader, or maybe they're no longer in 4th or 5th grade. Now they're in 7th or 8th grade. And you're just amazed that this little booger has turned into this giant kid. Sometimes that happens. Well, we're no different. Grandma one year could be 180 pounds, and then the next year that the kids see grandma, maybe she's only 140 pounds. But if they would have been watching grandma every single day, they wouldn't have noticed such a dramatic difference and such a dramatic change, because on the daily, we don't have big changes. It's very minute on the daily. Jaywalker Jay, Oh my God, Jesse's breaking the law. Breaking the law, breaking the law, dun dun. Breaking the law, dun dun. So on the weekends, in the mornings, you notice there's not nearly as many cars out. And the reason there's not that many cars is because, believe it or not, some people like to sleep in on the weekends. And there's not a bunch of people commuting into work. If you work close to where you live and you drive your car every day, you are doing needless wear and tear on your vehicle. Why don't you walk to work? Could you imagine if you just said, hey, I'm going to walk to work from here on out? You would just extend the life of your car by probably a good 5 years, you know? One of my cars is a 1999 Cutlass. That car is 25 years old. That car is older than some of our kids. That car has been able to drink for 4 or 5 years now. That car has been able to vote for the past 7 years, you know? And it still works. It still works. So my thinking is, why get rid of a car in a world where getting a brand new one costs, what, 45 grand? God, that really blows me away. For my whole life, it seemed like it was stuck where you could get a new car for about 15 to 25 grand. And then in the last 15 years or so, that kind of fell by the wayside. And somewhere we got to the point where we are now, where I think I heard the average new car is like $42,000 or $43,000. And that's just for your average Joe Schmo new car. If you want to get one that's kind of ideal, probably closer to $55,000. And I'm sure you guys have heard that we have some of these really giant 4x4 trucks that guys use, you know, in construction and stuff. Those trucks push $100,000. Could you imagine owning a truck? And don't get me wrong, it's a utility type truck, so they're using it for their job and their career, right? So it's worth it to them. But just the idea that truck and car manufacturers are charging $80,000, $90,000, $100,000 for a 4x4 truck, extended cab or what have you, extended bed, whatever. Golly, I just couldn't imagine. And then, usually when you get a car loan, it's what, a 6-7 year car loan. How the heck do you pay off a $100,000 vehicle in the course of 6 or 7 years? And in that same mind of yours, you're not thinking, I want to pay off my house in 6 or 7 years. Because if you didn't have that vehicle, God, you might be able to pay off a house. But you never know people's situations. If your truck is $100,000, but your business is making you $1 million a year, then don't ever listen to me. Sometimes people try to give advice and they need to stay in their lane. And if you're hearing me and you're like, dude, stay in your lane, I need my vehicle for work, then I will stay in my lane, sir. You know your life better than I do. And that's why when people give you generic advice on, oh, Helen, maybe you should ditch walking and, start running and go get a gym membership. Just remember, sometimes people need to stay in their